At the end of the last video, I alluded to the Donkey Kong Land series for the original Game Boy. And even though my relationship with the Donkey Kong Country series is complex and somewhat dysfunctional, I feel some kind of strange inclination to play this. Ugh, I can't act at all, not even a little bit.
Chip, I would advise against that.
Come on, Eve, what's the worst that could happen?
Last time, you nearly suffered a nervous breakdown.
Well, how's that any different from any other day? Back in the olden days, here's how it went. Nintendo would release games that were pretty fucking good, and then shortly afterwards would release handheld games to complement them.
Most of them were simply scaled down ports of their bigger console-based brothers. But among these chips off the old block, there existed diamonds in the rough. Some of these were fully fleshed games with stories and everything. The only major changes were simply graphical downgrades and usually less control possibilities, seeing how the Game Boy was more limited in its button scheme. But hell, owning a library of Game Boy games was almost egalitarian to owning a library of console games. Sometimes even direct sequels to big-name console titles were put out on handhelds. Metroid 2 and Gargoyles Quest 2 perhaps being the most well-known.
But there were also the lesser-known in-between sequels to the Donkey Kong Country series, appropriately titled Donkey Kong Land. Anyone who's been watching this show long enough, which is no one, is probably familiar with my complex love-hate relationship with the Donkey Kong Country series, somewhat akin to an abusive partnership. Donkey Kong really upsets me, but for whatever reason, I just keep coming back.
These games are absolute gems of atmosphere-packed, smooth platforming for the Super Nintendo. But where the fun ends is usually around the second or third worlds, when the bullshit dial cranks past the limit and rips a hole in the space-time fabric, taking you to a time and place where people just beat the game and not 100% it. This place is called my home, because on the one hand, you have great graphics, fantastic music, and challenging gameplay, but on the other hand, you have this focus on collectibles that make you feel inferior for not going the extra mile.
It's like when you bring your report card home. You got 4 A's and 2 B's, and your parents are like, what, you fucking stupid or something? You couldn't get straight A's? This is what I blame for my distorted body image. But this is a downgrade to those classics, so there should be less of an emphasis on 100% completion. Let's get this party started.
Background: Donkey, Diddy, and Cranky are all chillin' talking about the adventure they had in the last game. Cranky attributes their success to the graphics alone, exclaiming that kids will buy anything nowadays. Oh, Cranky, how far ahead of the time you were. Now, Cranky, because he's a senile old bastard, places a bet with King K. Rool to steal the banana horde again and see if Donkey and the gang can beat him on an 8-bit handheld console. And Donkey and Diddy are like, fucking really? And they set off to go... I don't want to do this anymore.
Hopefully this time I don't puke my guts out.
Oh, yeah, this looks familiar here in the jump. Oh.
One thing I forgot to mention about this game is that it's complete horseshit.
To say that the controls for this game are bad would be like saying that Kate Upton is a woman. Because it goes without saying? No, because you don't say it like Kate Upton is a woman, you say it like Kate Upton is a woman. Not just any old lady, a smoking hot, 5'10" blonde with huge cans. It's like a real life Samus.
Aside, you don't say the controls are bad. You say the controls are bad. Like, and the whole world has to answer right now just to tell you once again who's bad.
See, now I don't actually know how it would have been on an original Game Boy because I'm not a sick dumbass who likes torturing himself for fun, but remember how on the Super Nintendo you could hold down certain buttons to run faster? Well, there's only 2 buttons for Game Boy. One is jump, one is to roll, run, and use items. So since this is a Donkey Kong game and you need enough momentum for precise platforming, what really ends up happening is overshooting the jump and end up rolling into an enemy that materializes at the side of the screen that you can't see because Donkey, ironically, outruns the screen. Well, at least there are plenty of bananas to stock up on extra lives, so you'll rarely get a game over. And now it's time for another episode of Bitchin' Kitchen with Chip Roberts.
Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to episode 2 of Bitchin' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chip Roberts. Thank you. Tonight, we'll be cooking up my go-to breakfast on the day of a show. It's chock full of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients to help you perform your best on your big night. That's right. Tonight, we're cooking up some famous Donkey Kong How'd you guys think it would be funny for me to do a cooking show? You know the only thing I can cook is stir-fry and fucking pancakes. Why the fuck you want me to do all this stupid shit? Fuck.
Tonight's episode of Bitchin' Kitchen is brought to you by bananas, an excellent source of vitamin K and the color yellow. And now here's Chip Roberts.
Donkey Kong Jungle Japes Flapjacks.
Step 1, add 3 tablespoons of fake eggs. I'd use real eggs, but I'm watching my weight. Step 2, 1 scoop of chocolate or vanilla protein powder. We're actually not gonna be using either tonight because I couldn't afford it. Step 3, half a cup of coconut milk. Step 4, PB2. This is the sequel, the first one sucked. Step 5, cognac powder. It's basically pure fiber, so you can use as much as you want without gaining any weight. This was the only item on the recipe I was willing to pay money for. Step 6, put in bananas. We're gonna use Thai bananas because I'm a fucking badass and they stay firm longer. Step 7, blend. Obviously, we're not gonna actually make the pancake considering I lack most of the ingredients besides cognac powder.
Oh well, at least I can eat as much of this as I want. Pure soluble fiber, here I come. Oh God, the pain.
Well, did you learn your lesson?
Never again. How the hell am I supposed to make Venice's famous killer Kung Pao cognac tofu tonight?
Okay, let's be fair. If you can get past the poor controls and vomit-inducing graphics, this game really isn't that bad. In fact, I'd even go so far as to say that if you need a Donkey Kong fix and you've exhausted your resources on the main consoles, that you might want to check out Donkey Kong Land. It is, for all intents and purposes, an original plot with some decent level and world variety, not to mention some bitchin' music. Like all DKC games, the levels are damn challenging and they only get harder as the game progresses. See, this is what games were like back in the day. If the NES could be considered the colonial period of gaming, this was the Wild West. Developers were truly experts in their respective fields, but the product was by no means perfect, especially compared to modern gaming. Games today at least have more quality assurance and checks and balances to assure that they're at least playable rather than simply passable. The only true test to your ability as a player back in the day was being able to work around and even accommodate the game's flaws in order to beat it. The expression beat the game meant a little more back then because not only were you battling against the levels, enemies, and obstacles within the game, but the mechanics of the hardware as well.
In sum, as long as you're careful, look ahead, and take it slowly, this game is easily beaten. And hey, at least you don't have to deal with the shitty controls and obligatory meandering underwater levels. No, it cannot be! No!
Why? Why? How, and why could and would you do this to me? This is just wrong. Simply wrong. And there are so many of them. They let me save after every easy as shit fucking level in the first world. Why the fuck you gotta be such a goddamn troll and wait until the impossible underwater levels to not let me save?
Damn you! Are you crazy? Tell me! Tell me! Jesus.
In a game that gives out extra lives like it's going out of style, these fucking levels are eating them up like fucking Timbits. I better phone my mom to be sure to put my house code in the washroom. Okay, it's a land level. I can handle that. I just gotta make it through and then it'll let me save.
No, how could you do this to me? You screwed me again, Rare, you sadist bastards!
Yeah, I got just the place for you, Donkey Kong Land. I know how to make use of your yellow cartridge and your nutritious and well-balanced breakfast. Yeah, it's just...
Plug it in. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Do I enjoy pain? Do I get some kind of masochistic adrenal rush from playing shitty games, getting pissed off? What am I getting out of this deal?
Well, the network does pay you to review these games.
Well, you'd think that'd be a good incentive, except that I guess the network thought it would be funny or ironic or something to pay me in bananas instead of real money.
What's the matter? You don't like bananas?
I love bananas. They're a great source of potassium and heart-healthy beta blockers to help combat performance anxiety. But Eve, there's just too damn many carbs. Hey kids, as always, thank you so much for watching my video. I had a lot of fun writing, making, doing everything about it. I didn't have a whole lot of fun actually playing the game. I wasn't too particularly into that portion of it, but I do appreciate you watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, rating. Nobody rates anymore. Remember when YouTube used to have the rating system and it was like 5 stars? Anyways, it really helps out this channel if you tell your friends about it. If you share it on your social media, it really helps me out. And also, if you like it, comment. If you don't like it, comment. Let's have a discussion. All right, everybody. Thanks. And by the way, I actually am wearing pants. I'm not that bold. I'm not that bold to actually take off my pants and take a shit on camera. The closest I ever got was maybe throwing up on camera in the Christmas special, but I actually used beef and barley stew for that, so I didn't actually throw up. But you know, Malcolm McDowell on Caligula, yeah, he actually peed on that wall, and that was pretty cool. And I always thought that if I had a real acting debut, that would be something I'd want to do. Bye guys! Namaste!